Jordan Peele's debut film, Get Out, is hitting theaters this week, but should you get out your wallet? We'll tell you right here on Screen Junkies News.
So look, I go do my research. Apparently, a whole bunch of brothers been missing in this suburb. But it's cool. Bro, how you not scared of this, man?
Hi, I'm Dan Murrell.
And I'm Roth Cornett, and I was waiting for that pun, Dan, and you delivered.
I always deliver on my pun promises, and we are reviewing Get Out, the horror thriller debut feature film from Jordan Peele, half of the Comedy Central comedy superstar duo known as Key and Peele, of course. And Roth, this is a much hyped movie coming in. A lot of people were saying this was one to watch coming into the beginning of this year. What did you think of this movie?
I love this movie, I really did. And you're right, because the danger when something gets a lot of attention at Sundance, which it did, you go in and you may end up disappointing. I was not. I love this movie. I think it's an incredible debut. We were able to interview Jordan Peele recently, which you can find right here on Screen Junkies News. Plug. What's interesting to me is he said that he would not go and do a big franchise film. He wanted to stay and do socially relevant horror. And I'm really glad, having seen this one.
I liked this movie.
Okay.
I did. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I will recommend it. I don't know if it was overhyped for me. It did have a lot of hype coming in. We were doing the movies to watch out for in 2017 special with Alicia Malone at a few months ago, and this was on her list. So this is a movie that was on my radar that I was looking forward to. I'm a big fan of Key and Peele. And yeah, I liked this movie. I'm not going to say I'm in love with it. I thought that it was entertaining. I thought that it was a nice, effective kind of a that's what Blumhouse does. This is with Blumhouse, of course, which is specializes in these kind of quirky, lower budget kind of horror thriller genre. And I thought this fit in perfectly. It's funny. I think it has some really good characters. It's not one of the best movies I've ever seen, but I can't really knock it on a whole lot other than being, it's an entertaining film. And a lot of people say, you don't need to transcend being more than that. I'm not going to say it's one of, the most transcendent things I've seen in the last however many months, but I liked this movie.
So Blumhouse was also behind Whiplash. Okay, another Blumhouse film was Whiplash. And for me, this film, Get Out, is sort of the combination of the prestige films that they are trying to do, like Whiplash, that really has something to say, and the low-budget horror that they have perfected. Because most of the Blumhouse low-budget horrors are just that. They're there to be a horror thrill ride. Yeah. Here's another important distinction. I grew up as a massive horror fan, and I've seen a lot of horror movies. And one of the things that I think that and so has Jordan Peele, he's a huge horror fan, and he's a huge movie fan, and he really knows how to reference films. One of the things that I was so impressed with this film is that he played perfectly on those tropes, but he didn't just hit the tropes. He turned them upside down. He had something new to say with them. He played into them, but in a way that elevated them, and he created a conversation using the genre, using the tools of the genre. That's pretty freaking impressive as a first-time director.
Yeah, I think that he's good at creating atmosphere. If there was going to be a downfall for me for this movie, not a downfall, but my biggest thing is, you don't want to. I don't want to spoil the movie, of course. It kind of has twists and turns. It's building up to some things you're not quite sure what's happening for a lot of the movie. When the big reveal was made, I kind of thought it reminded me a little bit of Keanu, which I think this is a better movie than Keanu. Keanu, I thought, had some moments, but relied a little too much on. It was a sketch premise that was kind of strung out to an hour and a half long. This reminds me of a premise that I would see on their show on Key and Peele. I think this movie was more developed. I think that this was a better developed concept and it was executed better than, say, Keanu. But I did, kind of at the end of the day, think this is something that, I'm not sure if it was worth the buildup. I'm not sure if it was worth the journey for where the movie does eventually go. Having said that, I'm not saying I didn't like that. I just think that, this is his first movie, and it's a really impressive first movie. I think it's going to be a well-reviewed first movie. I think this will be a very well-regarded first movie. I can't wait to see where he goes from here. He's starting off, Jordan Peele, in a great place as far as building a filmography. And I think that Key and Peele was a very cinematic show, and a lot of people put that on the director of that show, Peter Atencio. A lot of people, I think, gave him a lot of credit. I think we're seeing now how key Jordan Peele was also in crafting that look and in crafting that show.
Key Jordan Peele. I think that Keegan is a wonderful showman, a really good actor and performer. He knew anything. But I have long suspected that Jordan was the one that was behind the scenes, and he'll often play that role even in the sketches of just kind of creatively pushing things forward. He said that he was looking at Rosemary's Baby, Stepford Wives, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner for this film, and you can really see it there. I think that one thing that people might be surprised about is that this is more of a satire than a comedy. So if you think of Stepford Wives and how it was satirical and it was commenting on something that was happening in the culture at that time, this movie is doing that also, but about race, and it does it in a really smart way, because it's not even, it's scary. There are moments that it's legit scary, but it is profoundly unnerving. Like, in a way that I was thinking about this for days afterwards. I felt deeply unnerved in my subconscious. And he has talked about what's similar between comedy and horror structurally in terms of like setup and then you pay it off. But then also what's similar about comedy and horror is that that is a place that we can talk about things that are uncomfortable to talk about elsewhere, and he does not pull any punches here.
Yeah, I mean, you read a lot more into it than I did. I thought that, you know, it definitely has some commentary to it. I actually was expecting a little bit more going into the movie. You know, I think a lot of the twist is how much of that is commentary, how much of it is comedy, and how much of it is just the twist and turn of the movie. And, you know, I thought, listen, I think this is a really good movie. And I think that people are deservedly going to go see it. And I think the majority of people are going to enjoy this movie. And I think that it's going to speak to audiences in different ways. For me, it didn't have obviously as powerful of a message as it did for you, but that's the great thing about movies is they open up different doors for different audience members. I don't want to, you know, I feel like sometimes if everyone loves a movie and then there's somebody that's just saying like it's good, then you get turned on the other side of that spectrum and be like, why didn't you like Get Out?
No.
I did like Get Out, and I'm absolutely recommending that you go see it. For me, it's not, you know, does it reach that extra level? It didn't reach that for me. I admired it more on how it worked as a thriller, on its character work, on the you know, I think it's very well acted. The lead actor, Daniel Kaluuya.
Oh, man.
I remember him, you know, watching him on Black Mirror. He got on my radar first on Black Mirror. I was watching it and I was like, I know that guy. And I went back and like, yes, he was great in the episode of Black Mirror.
This guy is probably the breakout star of this year. This performance is vulnerable, it's raw, it is heartbreaking and funny all at once. And if you guys haven't seen it, go check out 15 Million Merits, which is the Black Mirror episode he's in, for more awesome Daniel action.
And I think that the breakout for this movie is going to be Lil Rel Howery, who plays kind of the best friend of the lead character.
He's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
The comedy.
He's the comedy. He's the audience in a lot of scenarios. He's the one that's giving that meta commentary, which I liked and I really enjoyed. I got watching that movie and seeing him. He's one of those guys that I'm looking at and I'm saying, you're going to start seeing him on a lot of things.
Yeah.
He is really, I think, as a comedy star, is going to really launch from this role, I think, into a lot more comedy roles because he's hilarious.
I thought he was awesome. I agree with you. He is the person in the film that's commenting on the tropes of the film. That's the one that's saying, don't do this and don't go, get out of the house, don't go in the basement, those types of things. Not literally that, but that's his role. Yeah. And he's great at it. I think across the board, these are really strong performances. Allison Williams gives a great performance where in a couple of moments, she just has to kind of turn on a dime and deliver a completely different shade to her character. But I will say the person I already love, Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener, who are cast a little bit against type here, which in a very cool way. Yeah. Catherine Keener, you're gonna have strong feelings about Catherine Keener after you see this film. I don't wanna spoil this for anyone either. And you know what, like honestly, all opinions are welcome. It's a movie. We're supposed to have a subjective response to it, you know? All opinions are welcome. Everything about you and how you grew up and who you are as a person plays into your response to a movie, where you're at that day even. I grew up as a huge horror lover. Yeah. I love Jordan Peele and I love social satire. This is so right up my alley, and I truly believe that this was masterfully done and that he has a big career ahead of him as a director. And I think a large conversation can come out of this movie that's an important conversation for us to have as a culture that we don't. We don't, about subconscious drives and biases. And
there's a lot going on in this movie, and I think that might be kind of what kept it for me from you know, kind of going to that next level. Is he's juggling the horror ball, he's juggling the comedy ball, he's juggling the social satire ball, he's juggling the drama ball, and he's, you know, they're all up in the air at the same time, which is why I think maybe it all didn't completely land for me, because there are so many balls in the air. Having said that, that doesn't mean that it's not a good movie. And I think it's rare to find directors that have something to say, and I think Jordan Peele We saw it in Key and Peele, and I think we're going to see it through his continued work. Has a lot to say, and he can do it in an entertaining way. And you can't say that about a lot of people.
Yeah.
So on that level, this is a success, and more than anything, I came out of this movie looking forward to what Jordan Peele is going to bring us next from behind the camera.
Yeah, me too. And I think that that's where he's ultimately going to focus. I will recommend not just our interview, but go and read other interviews with Jordan. They're really interesting, and you'll get more out of this movie. I can't, but try, the trailers have done a really good job of giving you enough, but not too much. And I hope we've done a good job of that too. I cannot recommend this enough. This is a movie that I love, that I will continue to love. I will be surprised if by the end of 2017 it doesn't remain one of my favorites of the year. I will watch it again and again, and I can't wait for the rest of the world to see it so we can just talk about it.
And yeah, I recommend it as well. I think that wow, we're into February, and I think we already have 2 or 3 really strong, really great movies. So 2017's had some garbage, as I've reviewed 2 in a row. Thankfully, I broke the streak. Get Out, both of us, Roth, a strong recommendation. I'm also going to recommend that you go see it. Go get in that theater and see this movie. So those are our thoughts on Get Out. What did you think of the movie? Are you looking forward to seeing it? Let us know in the comments below. We always want to hear from you guys. And don't forget to stay tuned to Screen Junkies News. We have so many cool things that we've covered right here. And of course, Roth and I will always be here to cover the movies as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.